I made 100 drawings in 100 days and then I quit. On June 22nd, 2020, I decided that I was going to draw one thing a day for the next year. Spoiler alert, didn't make the year. I made this decision after watching this video by Struthless. Long story short, I went full steam ahead, kind of struggled, got busy, and then quit. Okay, thanks for watching. So around June, we were, mid-pandemic. The pandemic panic was settling down. It didn't look like I was gonna lose my job anytime soon, which thankfully I didn't. And I just felt kind of blah. I felt unfulfilled with my work and what I was doing day to day. So I was looking for some sort of like creative passion project to fulfill me, to spend my days outside of work. And then I found that video. I was like, okay, I could do that. My hope for this was that after a year of drawing 365 things, I would have like a more solid sense of my own style or have like a better identity as an artist. My art tends to look a certain way, but I still feel a bit lost in terms of like what my style is or a way of creating art that I would feel good about like sticking to consistently. I also wanted to grow my Instagram following. Around that time, I believe, was when the big switch of the algorithm happened and Instagram was favoring more like quantitative content. So I wanted to give it a go, the quantity over quality approach to gaining Instagram followers. Yeah, as you probably guessed, art for the sake of playing with the algorithm doesn't work. Maybe this varies from person to person, but I feel like my brain can tell when the thing that I'm doing isn't what I should be doing. Creating art for the sake of internet validation and having like this quantitative number attached to every piece of art that you post kind of created this like weird cycle of like hitting a quota every day or thinking of what kind of subject matter would appeal to people the most, and therefore having those like restrictions, they're in your mind when you're making these pieces, and it doesn't really set like a good stage for actually experimenting and trying things and failing and whatever, because you know that there's always like a audience to see you fail if you do. So in that aspect, it was very much creating art for Instagram and not for myself. So yeah, it did get to feeling like a chore pretty quickly, and I even tried to like add a few different restrictions and turns of ways to challenge myself and to get myself out of this like weird rut. But you know, at the end of the day, it just wasn't fulfilling me. So it wasn't maintainable. It wasn't Pumping out daily art and focusing on quantity over quality can be a really good like challenge of discipline and a good way to like test your ability to commit to something. But if you go into it for the wrong reasons, it lacks in the thing that is supposed to be fulfilling you. It's like, say you baked one cupcake per day, and each day you baked a different cupcake, a different flavor of cupcake. Each time you bake them, yeah, they're good, they're tasty, it's a fucking cupcake, but there's something about it that isn't like as perfect as it could be. And before you can even think about ways to improve the cupcake, it's the next day and you have to move on to the next flavor. Versus if, say, you wanted to bake a cake, you wanted to make this the best cake ever, so you make it your favorite flavor. You make it a red velvet cake and you take your time with it. It takes a lot of trial and error, but at the end, when you finally complete this masterpiece of a cake, you eat it and it's perfect. And it's something that you can really be proud of, and it's something that you actually wanted to make in the first place. That's a dumb analogy. I really, I dead ass fucking sat down. I was like, okay, how can I put this into context? And then I thought of cupcakes. I really have found the value in taking more time with each piece, and instead of pumping out something different every day, working at something, and if it doesn't look right, then fixing it and figuring out why. And in that way, I feel like the lessons learned are much better than if you were switching gears every other second or whatever. Yeah. You can't really force yourself out of a creative rut, unfortunately. And you feel like, okay, well, I don't really feel like drawing today, but if I just fucking force myself to do it, yeah, sometimes you're pleasantly surprised and it's like, okay, that wasn't so bad. But then sometimes you're kind of like in a downwards tilt and you're like, well, I finished my drawing for today. I didn't really like it, but here you go, world. And then the next day you're like, fuck, I don't really feel like doing anything today either, but I gotta do it, so here we go. Another fucking flop. Here you go, world. And I found myself kind of getting stuck in situations like that over like the spread of like a week or something, where I was putting out drawings that I didn't like. Usually it took some reflection as to like, why don't I like what I'm putting out, or why can't I fucking draw? And I feel like that's just life. That's the way that creativity works. It's not always gonna be fucking thrilling. It's gonna be difficult sometimes and you don't know what you're doing. But since doing this whole thing and failing it, I've kind of learned that if I take my time with things and actually like think about what it is that I want to make, and while I'm making it, taking my time to really create something that isn't just like thrown together in a day. Oh my god, there's a fucking... Figure out why certain bits of it no, okay. What the fuck was I saying? Can we... Anyways, you get what I mean. Like, starting a project that you know that you have to finish in a single day, it creates this like pressure and this like mindset of, okay, whatever goes down on the page is good to go. That's what it is for the day. Versus if you sit down to do a drawing and you're thinking like, okay, maybe I won't finish it in this one sitting, or maybe it'll take me a long time to figure out. It really lets you be more thoughtful about what you're actually creating, and it makes you think like, okay, what do I want to do? What do I have to do to really make this a piece of quality? You know, maybe the internet doesn't favor that kind of attitude because that mindset results in a slower turnover rate, and you're not able to put out as much content, and the internet loves content and lots of it. And I think that's where maybe we should be correcting the way that we think a little bit. The internet is not the guideline for success or fulfillment. Sure, maybe if you put out lots of stuff every day and you fucking like do one thing and it does well in terms of like likes and follows and stuff, and you keep doing that one thing, sure, your numbers will probably skyrocket and that'll be great. But if it's not exactly what is fulfilling to you in the first place, then it's like a dead end, you know? It's not worth it in the long run, you know? I don't know if that made sense. I often don't want what I think I want. And that's in a lot of things with life. So at the start of it, I was looking for something to fulfill me and a passion project to work on and whatever. I would literally take anything at that point, because the amount that I was like actually drawing for myself and creating art had slowed to like a complete stop. And I was looking for a quick solution to reverse that. And the daily drawings thing was a solution for me. But really, what I needed was something to get me jumping out of bed every morning, not something that was like just another task to do for the day. It was a much larger problem that I should have sat down and figured out like, okay, like what really do I want? But instead I went for this seemingly easy solution of little tiny wins, of completing lots of little things that as a whole wouldn't have fulfilled me as much as a larger project that I actually really wanted to do. The biggest reason was I just got fucking busy. I feel like without the sudden surge of work that I had to do and the sudden decrease of any time to do these daily drawings, I would have followed through. But yeah, I quit my job and I started freelancing, and shit got really fucking busy for a while. And I just straight up did not have time. And when I did have time, I didn't have the energy. So I also kind of set myself up to fail with Badtober. During October, the downfall of this whole project, not only was I super busy from freelancing, I wanted to do like an Inktober alternative, Badtober by Flesh.png. That was a prompt list, and I wanted to do my daily drawings following that prompt list, and also creating a joke or something funny with each post. And so that's already 3 things that I need to follow. So I feel like that in itself, like having to tick all those boxes, thinking about the concept and what I wanted to draw for that day, with being busy, it was just like way too much, and I got so fucking behind. And ultimately, including the joke part was my downfall, because I don't think I'm funny enough. Like, even when I come up with a joke, there's so much like self-doubt, and I'm like, that's not really the best joke that I could think of. And then so I'm like, I gotta think of a better one, and then I just put it off forever. And once I got behind enough, I could have tried to catch up. I could have just said like, fuck Badtober, I'm just gonna do the drawings. But I had a realization of all of this shit. Like, it wasn't fulfilling me. So really, there was no point in continuing. I said, fuck it, I don't wanna do this anymore, so I'm gonna stop. So I stopped. So since this whole thing and failure, I've made a few more pieces that I can say that I'm pretty proud of. I took my own advice. I sat down without the mindset of like, okay, gotta get this done in one sitting. I took my time with finding references and figuring out what I actually wanted to draw, and turn out good. And I feel like that's a good trajectory to kind of continue on. So for now, that's what I think I'm gonna do. So yeah, I'm feeling optimistic about it. I really am. That's all I have. It's been a while since I made a video. I know it. And I apologize for that, but I'm still kicking and I still wanna make things. I'm just trying to figure out like a balance of what kind of videos I wanna be making, because honestly, truly, a lot of the videos that I've made in the past, I'm like, what is the point of this? This is so boring. And it just isn't exciting for me. Like, I know that I want to make videos, but I'm working on pinpointing exactly what that is for me. So, all with time, like anything else. So yeah, that's all. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in a bit. Sailor Moon type shit.